I am an alcoholic. This is a label. And what a label does is it caps your ability to grow. This is your growth cap right here. And so if you want to change your thinking, we have to change this opinion about yourself. Welcome to the video. My name's Steven. In this video, we're going to talk about non-binary thinking and how to improve your life. This has helped me make so much more money and become so much of a better person just from fixing this phrase right here. Okay, and I'm going to go exactly into this and why this is so bad for you to say this to yourself and to other people. First of all, I am. Okay, am is a being verb. All right, and so a being verb is your state of existence, right? So you were saying I exist as an alcoholic. Plus I am, and if you want to go the biblical route, I am is another word for God, and God in Genesis, when he created the world, spoke it into existence. And so words carry a lot of weight. And the Bible tells us that our words carry a lot of weight and that we can move mountains with our words, right? And so by saying that you are an alcoholic, you will be an alcoholic, right? This is a state as well. This is a character trait. So say you have a line graph and the x-axis is time and the y-axis is growth. If you say things like I'm an alcoholic, you will grow until the world requires you to not be an alcoholic. You will cap right here and then you will go back down. And if you try to grow again, you will cap once again at the I'm an alcoholic line and then you will go back down. All right. And so little statements like this and these beliefs, this is a belief right here. Okay. You believe that you're an alcoholic because here's the thing, you weren't born an alcoholic. And for most people, you probably didn't drink until you were like 16 anyway. All right. Maybe even later than that. So this is a belief. You were not born an alcoholic. You were born a human being. All right. And so there are certain physiological aspects about yourself that you cannot change, like your skin color or your gender or the way your nose looks or your eyes or whatever. You can't change those physiological things. Those are not beliefs. Those are just physiological traits. And we're going to talk about that too. If you believe you might have a stigma around your physiological trait that has been imposed on you by your parents or by the people around you. So we're going to talk about that too. But we need to break these beliefs. All right. And so I'm going to show you how to do that in the physiological and also in the psychological as well. So the first thing I want you to understand is imagine there's two sides here. Okay. And imagine on side A, it is alcoholic. Alcoholic. And then side B is sober. All right. Most of us believe that we are either on side A or side B. But the honest truth is you're somewhere in the middle, or you have to be somewhere in the middle. Okay? And so when you remove this line right here, this is binary. Okay? It's either you are an alcoholic or you're not, you're sober, right? But in reality, there is a line in the middle that says, to what extent am I an alcoholic or am I sober? Okay, and so this is a negative trait in general, alcoholism. It's a negative trait, but let's use a positive trait for this example too. Let's say it is you are a salesperson or you are not a salesperson, right? So you might say, I'm not a sales guy. If you're a business owner, then you cannot grow if you don't understand sales. And so what happens is you identify with the fact that you are not a sales guy and never ever close sales and make money in your business. Okay? When in reality, you're probably somewhere in the middle of this line, and it's your job to figure out where and how to reverse it. And so that's what we're going over here. Unfortunately, all right, there is a middle part to this line, and you do lean somewhere on each side of this scale. And what happens is, no matter where you lean, people, based on their opinions, and this is the sad truth of the whole thing, based on their opinions and what they know about you and the proof that you've generated over time, will then identify you with one or the other, okay? Based off of what they've seen. And here's the thing is most people never change. And so what ends up happening is since they don't change, they wouldn't expect you to either, and they're still going to group you with the person that you were originally, or you still are, or whatever, even once you change. And this has happened to me. I've grown a lot as an individual over the last 3 years, yet there's still friends of mine from the past who still identify with my past self and reconcile with that by bringing it up and labeling me. Okay, and so other people will label you too, and it is your job to either get rid of that person or tell them not to speak to you that way and fix the behavior. And you can say like, oh, maybe that's a little mean. They're a good friend of yours. You've been friends with them for a long time. It's your life, and if someone doesn't treat you properly, either help them understand or tell them to screw off. And that's just the truth of everything. Like, and just a quick side tangent, you literally don't have to be nice to anybody at all. If you have a opening in your calendar and someone asks you for that time, most of the time we feel like we are obligated to give that person our time. And they feel like you are obligated for you to give them your time, which is rude. That is not fair at all to anybody, okay? Like, imagine if I had like $300 in my savings account that I wasn't spending or whatever, and somebody was like, hey, bro, you're not using that, give it to me. It's the same thing with time, okay? And that's not fair. And so if you don't want to spend time with someone, you don't have to. That's it. Like, you just say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to spend time with you. That's how it goes. And if they can't accept that, then you shouldn't be friends with them. And the same thing goes here. If you're doing what you can to become sober and you're an alcoholic and your friends keep saying, come on, bro, I know you love to drink, go to the bar with us, come on, bro, it's Friday night, what are you doing otherwise? Or literally calling you names. I've had people call me names because I didn't go to a bar with them. Like, how silly does that sound? And at the end of the day, misery loves company. Okay, and so people are going to try to bring you back down to where they are because they don't want you to change and they don't want you to grow, and that's how they know you. You guys were addicted to the same drugs, and so they now want to keep you where you are, and that's how society works. All right, don't let that shit happen. People are going to call you one or the other, but it's your job to figure out exactly where you are on the scale and then help yourself become better. All right, or if it's required of you to become both, right? To be able to understand both extremes. Like, I think it was, I don't know, it was either LeBron or Michael Jordan or Kobe. Most people either pick offense or defense, but they picked offense and defense. They learned the extremes of both. And so that's how they got really, really, really good at basketball. Okay. And so sometimes it's important to know both, but sometimes, like in this situation, it's important to pick one, right? And so you know which one is best for you. Now, like I said before, you cannot change physiological traits, but my way of solving that problem would be to understand that there are going to be unconscious biases that people make and reflect onto you after just meeting you, and it's your job to be the exception. Okay, so if I'm a police officer and 9 out of 10 blue people are rude to me, and when I pull them over, and 1 out of 10 orange people are rude to me, then I'm probably going to expect the blue people to be rude to me again. And so it is your job, if you are a blue person, to then say, oh, I need to be the exception. And so you take the same analogy we're going to go through when fixing character traits, but fix it for other people's impressions on you, right? Because they're going to have these impressions regardless or not. Like, regardless, they're going to have these impressions of you. And so it's your job to be the exception. When a police officer pulls you over, you're nice, you're cool, you hand them your driver's license and all your stuff, and you're very polite to them, and you cooperate them when you do what they say, right? They're less likely to, their guard's going to go down, and they're not going to be upset with you, right? But if you approach it the same way that the other 9 blue people did, then they're probably going to be rude to you back, or they could hurt you, right? And that's the thing, is people are crazy, and so are police officers. But my point is, if you are an orange person or a green person, and most people have these certain thoughts about those green people, you need to be the exception, because it doesn't matter what color, race, gender, sex, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, or you grew up as, whatever that is, it does not matter. You can still be a good person. All right. And so if you're always a good person, and you're nice to everyone that you see, then people will start to drop that thought of you. And it sucks, but it's the truth. You can't get ahead being the victim of your psychological traits. So the first step is to figure out where you are on this graph. I'm going to use myself from back in the day when I was like a hardcore extreme alcoholic. I was right here. I was literally like the most alcoholic you could be. I would binge drink 6 days out of the week. So I figured out where I am. This is to what extent, right? So the first step here is to what extent. I learned this from Alex Hormozi. To what extent am I this thing? All right. And this is if someone else calls you that too. So today, if someone were to call me an alcoholic, I know I'm over here. And so I just have proof that I'm not an alcoholic. And so then I can just say, okay, you're right. Literally, like I can just say that to people. And like I was saying with the labels previously, like if you're going to be an alcoholic, if you say I'm an alcoholic and I can't break that belief, and you don't finish this video and like do the shit required to break this simple belief, then you're right. Like you'll be an alcoholic. You're absolutely correct. And then you'll never be able to get past that bar because one day you'll be required to not be an alcoholic, like at your girlfriend's little brother's birthday party, and you'll get super drunk and then she'll break up with you. Really random example I just thought of, but you get my point. Is like you cannot be sober at this kid's birthday party because you're an alcoholic, because that's what you tell yourself. So to what extent, where am I on this graph? Number 2 is to then invert, then revert. But let's go ahead and figure out what the invert is. So the invert of this is to, instead of saying, how can I be sober? You're saying, how can I stay an alcoholic? And so maybe you would go to bars and you would hang around friends that go to bars, and you would go out on Thursdays, and then you would bring your ID. I don't know. This is a really random one. You should bring your ID everywhere, but you're gonna see where I go with this, and it's gonna look kind of illegal, but whatever. But yeah, these are just 4 examples, right? Now the reverted version of that, okay, over here is to not go to bars and to not hang out with those friends and to go out on Thursdays, or to not go out. So I'm just going to put go out not, and then not bring ID. There you go. So obviously you should be bringing your ID everywhere you go, but that's just my example. So we have 4 things that you can do to prevent yourself from being an alcoholic, and start bringing those in slowly. And if you have an issue like, how do I not be friends with these people? Well, then go to the extreme again. So you would take this and say, how would I still be friends with that person? I would hang out with them every day. I'd call them every day. I'd send them memes on Instagram. And then you revert that again. So stop sending them memes, stop calling them, and stop hanging out with them, and just slowly back off, right? Or you could be like really hardcore and just say like, hey, look, bro, I just don't think we should be friends anymore. Our chapter, our season of our life is over with. That's it, right? But then you stop hanging out with those friends. So to what extent, invert and then revert. And then now you just have to do. So it's action, all right? So action. And this, then the actions will slowly start to align you over time. It might take 6 to 10 months, 12 months, 2 years, whatever. But at some point, you will start to align more with this side, right? This, like this half right here. You will start to align more with this half. And so not only can you be proud of yourself and have proof that you are on this side, but also other people can then have proof too that you're on this side and like identify you as such. Now, I did mention there are extremes, and getting good at both extremes is important too, especially if you're a business owner and you have to like run all the fields in your business. So the only thing is to ask yourself to do or not to do, right? So it is like when I had the offense and defense example, or maybe I'll get another example. So sales on this side, marketing on this side. All right, how can I not be good at sales? Or how good am I at sales? How good am I at marketing? How can I not be good at sales? How can I not be good at marketing? And then flip them on their head and then push the extremes, right? And then identify with both sides of the thing. That's how you get really good. How you get really good in business. You can't be either or. All right, you're the owner, so you have to be able to do all this stuff. Okay, and at some point you hire people out, and if they know more than you about the thing, or you don't understand what their job is, you just hired them to do it. That's how you fail in the business game. So this is just a basic rundown. I talked about this on my channel already, but I really think that understanding non-binary thinking, that's what this is called, is very, very important, because a lot of times we label ourselves, like I said, I'm an alcoholic. Here's the cap. You can't grow past it. And like I said previously, if you're an alcoholic and you're not going to break that belief, or I'm a blue person and that means that people are rude to me, then, and you don't break that belief, then you'll never ever be able to get past that cap. And so if you come to me and you say, I'm an alcoholic, I'll say, you're absolutely right.